Welcome to Hero's Journey Physio Fitness. Our mission is to empower, inspire, and mentor people to reclaim their health and become self-reliant in their fitness. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Hogue. Join with me is my co-host, Annabelle Rios.
All right, we are going live in 3, 2,
1.
Hey. I still love that every time. All right, guys, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. We have to get the plug.
Let's do it.
But please rate this podcast, comment on the podcast, share the podcast. It's going to definitely help out the algorithm. Also, we'll have our link tree below so you can follow us on our social media. And I know we keep saying it, but
The ebook.
ebook is coming out soon. All right.
All the steps.
All the steps per viewer requests.
Let's go.
All right, so we've kind of finished the Hero's Journey guide in the last episode. Now we're starting a little new series. It was recommended by one of our followers, Cameron.
Not me.
Not this Cam, another Cam, girl Cam. We do read it, so keep sending us DMs, keep commenting. We read them. We have a lot more suggestions that we were sent by other people. So the one we're starting is supplements.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this we're gonna start a supplement series. We'll see kind of how long it takes us to go through. There's a lot out there,
It'll take us as long as it needs to take us.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation. So we're just titling this one "Supplements: Take It or Leave It." Do we need to take it, or do we just need to walk away? But this takes me back to high school, man.
Yeah.
So back in like high school, you know, there's this guy, Tyler, and we heard
Not the real name.
Oh, of course not.
Right.
And Tyler was taking creatine, and
man.
yeah, Tyler's gone to the dark side. He's on steroids. You know,
Is anybody natural anymore?
I know. He's able to curl like 135 pounds. How is he able to do this? He's on creatine. And then there was also there was other rumors of this guy who got on creatine and fractured his tailbone because creatine made his bones weak.
Creatine just messes you up, man.
I know. And it was just so funny because you just think that, like, back in high school, I remember going to the store with one of my friends who was on creatine and protein, and we went to GNC, and he was buying these huge tubs of all these supplements, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is for or about.
Say, man, dude, in my mind, I was like, man, you shouldn't be taking that. I remember people taking protein, and I was like,
they're on the dark side.
You gotta be natty.
Just get it from chicken breast. Let's go.
Just eat.
But there's a lot of things out there that people don't know about.
No.
And you hear someone on creatine, what is this? You hear somebody taking all these other different things, and a lot of people have questions. I know I had questions back in the day, and I feel like a lot of people still do.
I guess. Okay, let me say this. You may disagree, but in theory, in an ideal, perfect world, you don't really need supplements.
That is correct.
Right? In an ideal, perfect world, your diet is 100% on point. You're hitting whatever you need to hit every day, right?
Correct.
But
yes. So that's why they're called supplements, because they are supplementing your diet, right?
Exactly.
And they should not be, the bulk of your diet.
Which I think you can definitely go down the path where you're like, yeah, I'm not even eating real food. I'm just supplementing everything. Yes,
and even you don't even want to be technically reliant on them. Like, I can't get my workout in because I didn't take this today, or the workout was for waste because I didn't take protein after. Like,
yep.
So some people can get very reliant on supplements as well. So let's dive in here.
Yeah, the first one.
This is the big one. Oh, it's not really the big one. It's the one that's most researched, but it's creatine.
Oh.
Creatine. So what we want to do today is kind of talk about, what it is, some of the research, some of the benefits. And then there's actually like 12 common questions regarding creatine that I'm hoping we can kind of either dispel or confirm
Yeah, give you
about
some
it.
clarity on
Get
it.
some clarity here. So, what is it? What is this little magic substance that was so confusing to me in high school? Well, creatine, it actually occurs in the body naturally. It's derived from amino acids, usually stored in skeletal muscles. So you can find it in the liver, testes, kidneys, in a lot smaller quantities. You can get it through your diet through seafood and red meat, though you have to eat quite a bit of seafood and red meat per day to get the kind of the benefits
Yeah.
of creatine. So that's why they made a supplement, because most people don't eat enough red meat or seafood every day to get the total grams that you need of creatine per day, so to speak.
I mean, that's going to open up a whole can of worms. Red meat.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
So, well, how much do you kind of need per day? The recommended dose, this is, first of all, always consult with your medical doctor and or, nutritionist on, before you ingest things. Do your own research. We're just here to guide, just to give people information. But this all can be found on the internet through your doctor. So always, consult them. But the recommended dosage is about 3 to 5 grams per day is what they say to get the proven benefits of creatine in your system. So what are those benefits? So these benefits are the ones that have been studied, because it's been studied for over 20 years now. And these have been the proven benefits, like in the research proven. You can gain strength and hypertrophy benefits. So they have seen muscle mass increase, and they've seen strength gains, basically weight on the bar, dumbbell, whatever. They've seen those improvement as well. They know that it helps muscle cells produce more energy, which they think is kind of leading to the fact that you can have more kind of strength and hypertrophy, because if your muscle cells have more energy, they're able to produce more force and be able to do more load and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know that it does improve high intensity exercise, like Olympic weightlifters, sprinters. I mean, even kind of just normal sets and reps in the gym, like as long as it's within that 30 to 90 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds time frame on an exercise, which would be kind of more that explosive type of.
Also, haven't they said something about recovery, help aiding in recovery?
Yes, there's also that. I think that kind of goes with the cell, helps muscle cells produce energy, and I believe also for recovery as well. So there is definitely 100% proven benefits of creatine. They're continuing to look at, these are what I saw in the research as potential benefits. So like maybe not, are we exaggerating, that kind of stuff. They're trying to look at, and it may help with Parkinson's disease, because it could prevent the reduction in dopamine in the brain. That's kind of what some of the research is pointing to. It may help with Alzheimer's and stroke and epilepsy. It may.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this other one was pretty interesting. It may lower blood sugar to fight diabetes. So these are all things that are potential, not proven, but it's kind of like some studies show it, some studies don't show it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still being looked into.
Well, of course, what's in these studies is the population, the duration, and a lot of other things that go into it.
Yeah, so we don't even need to get into studies, because
no,
there's for anyone that's interested, every single study, I don't care if it's randomized, double blind, all that is always going to have a bias.
It is.
So in school we learn, we had to read so many studies, and for some of our classes we had to pull out what some of the biases were in the study, and were those biases enough to kind of dispel the study. Because it can show, like, in conclusion, we found that this happened, but when you actually read the entire article and kind of see how they set it up, you're like, well, yeah, that could prove anything. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's showing.
It was going to lead to that result no matter what, based on how you said it.
Exactly. And then you also have to look into
conspiracy theories. Who's funding it? Who's funding it?
I was about to say, and there's also on who is funding the research. And,
Like, why are you funding this?
so there's also that too. Now, I'm not saying just to throw out studies, but there's things to be aware of.
Yeah.
And there's lots of limitations.
That's why peer review studies and all those are beneficial. Like, can this person replicate what this other person did?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
One of the best things that I heard in school from one of my professors was that science/research doesn't prove anything. It just shows the data. And the data, a lot of times, is constantly changing. So there's a difference. So we can hold this up and say, what we know right now, this is what it's showing, but this could change in 5 years. And a lot of times, most of the time, it does.
And then it's also interpretation.
Yes. So there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
So
maybe, also, I guess with creatine, we may get into this, but when should you take it? Pre or post? And does it even matter?
So a lot of people think that you should take it before your workout because it's supposed to help with the workout, but technically if it's in your system, it doesn't really matter. A lot of the times that's just what kind of supplement companies or people will say, but if anything, take it before your workout, but technically it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So with creatine, there are 12 really common questions. And what I found this really good study, as we just talked about how don't listen to studies. I did find this really good study. It's from the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition, and it talks about these 12 questions. And what this study did was it scoured the 20 years worth of research, and it answered these questions from the research. So it's a research study looking at all the research. But again, this is their interpretation. Yes. So anyway, I read through it. I thought it was really good, so I would like to share with everybody. So the first question regarding creatine is, does creatine supplementation lead to water retention?
Am I just going to be holding a lot of water?
Yeah, am I going to just be bloated? Am I just going to look like a balloon? Like a lot of people have questions about that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quote from the article here. It says, in summary, while there is some evidence to suggest that creatine supplementation increases water retention, primarily attributed to increase in intracellular volume over the short term, there are several other studies suggesting that it does not alter total body water, intra or extracellular, relative to muscle mass over long periods of time. So they concluded that creatine supplementation may not lead to water retention. That was a handful.
Yeah.
Mouthful. So it can maybe, and the studies that did show it, it was more, they're saying intracellular volume, like your muscle cells are holding more fluid, not so much like extracellular, kind of like basically, I call it like no man's land, kind of between the tissue between the cells, which we kind of think of more as that kind of puffy, bloated type feeling. This is kind of showing that it doesn't really lead to that. Yeah.
And I guess, no, we're going to get into it. But yeah, carry on.
Okay. So that's the first one. This one was funny. Is creatine an anabolic steroid?
Oh, man. It is. No, I'm kidding.
So, first of all, you just need to kind of look at, so an anabolic steroid is a synthetic version of testosterone. So it's, first of all, has to be made. It's synthetic. While creatine has a totally different, it's derived from amino acids. So it's not even the same, has the same structure as an anabolic steroid. So even if you just look at the chemical makeup of these two, of creatine and anabolics, they're not even the same. They're different structures. Yeah. So this one was funny. They just said, because creatine has a completely different chemical structure, it cannot be an anabolic steroid. But
no, it's not.
well, the people believe that because it does lead to hypertrophy in muscle and strength gains. So they're like, well, anabolics also do that, so maybe they're the same thing. But if you boil it down, they're different chemical structure.
Yeah, they both help, but for different reasons.
Yes, correct. The next question was, does creatine supplementation cause kidney damage or renal dysfunction? So for whatever reason, there was I don't even know if there was some research done that kind of showed this, but they looked at it and they said there's experimental and controlled research indicates that creatine supplementation, when ingested at recommended dosage, does not lead to kidney damage or renal dysfunction. There were some studies when people overconsumed creatine that it may have caused kidney or renal dysfunction. But they found, if you're taking it recommended dosage, no, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show when you're looking at supplements, a lot of them are being derived from something else, and specifically, we're extracting different compounds, right? And at a higher dose, it may not be beneficial, since when maybe you're eating it, it's mixed in with other compounds that makes it easier for your body to process. And at a high level of this one specific thing, it may not be.
You can take any good thing and make it a bad thing.
Exactly.
Well, if 5 grams is what they recommend, what if I took 10 grams?
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that, where you can take anything that has been proven to be beneficial, overuse it, and then make it into a bad thing.
It's a supplement, and it's supplementing your health.
Exactly. So that one was, I believe, question number 3 out of 12. The next question about creatine was, does creatine supplementation cause hair loss or baldness?
When I saw this one, I was like, man, that's not the first thing that came to mind, but yeah.
No, I've definitely heard this one before.
You have? Oh,
yeah.
I hadn't heard of this one.
I don't know if it's because of the whole, people think it was more of like an anabolic steroid and high, increasing testosterone beyond physiological levels can, reduce hair or can lead to hair loss and baldness. But, essentially, they said the current body of evidence does not indicate that creatine supplementation increases total testosterone, free testosterone, or DHT, or causes hair loss or baldness. So, like it's saying, it's not going to increase the things that lead to hair loss. So, creatine itself won't cause hair loss, but also creatine won't increase the things that can lead to hair loss. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Because there was some studies that did show that it does increase testosterone. But I think if you look over all the, research, it's showing that it doesn't really increase it, at least to the level that's going to cause hair loss.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can definitely do a episode on testosterone. I think that'd be good.
Number 5. Does creatine supplementation lead to dehydration and muscle cramping?
I have heard of this one.
Okay. Yeah. And I think this one is because I think people were believe that since it was pulling intracellularly into the muscles, that it was going to cause, less water in the rest of the body unless you were drinking a lot of water, and therefore your muscles were going to start cramping. And
no, I would hear people say that. It's like, man, you have to, when you're on creatine, you have to drink so much water. If not, you're at any moment notice you're walking down the back in high school, you're walking down the hall and you're cramping.
Yes. And of course, this question, they pretty much said there's no notion that creatine causes dehydration or muscle cramping. Like, that's just not holding up in the research. But it is just a common question because of the thought of water retention.
Yeah.
Causing, other parts of your bodies to start cramping and stuff like that. Question number 6 about creatine. Is creatine supplementation harmful for children and adolescents? So I think this question goes to, this was more when I was looking at the research, was for like high schoolers, like
high schoolers. Should they be taking
late middle school, high school athletes? Like, what should they be taking? Like our friend
Tyler.
Was he too young to be taking this? They found, based on limited evidence, so they do clarify and say there's not a lot of evidence, there's not a lot of research done on adolescents, what I think they're terming is like high schoolers, that creatine supplementation appears to be safe and potentially beneficial for children and adolescents. So you probably need to under-consume it, or like consume the lower dosage of it.
Yeah.
And it seems to appear safe. I would just put an asterisk on this because there's not too much research on it. But I think if you've hit puberty, I think it should be, you're more in that adolescence going on, young adulthood. I don't see why there would be any reason not to. But for all you high school athletes out there, Maybe.
Maybe.
Man, this episode is just right down into the research here. I just feel like we're sorry, people. This is not as fun as some of the other stuff, but these are common questions.
No, I think here's the thing. When we're also thinking about our younger self in high school or anybody else who's considering going on creatine, we're trying to help you.
Right.
We're trying to guide you. And there's so much misinformation out there. Should you take it? Should you not take it? I guess with anything, it's up to you, first of all. But we're trying to give you clarity on it. Some of the common questions that we may have had and apparently other people have had as well. And then at the end that you decide for yourself.
That's right. Number 7, does creatine supplementation increase body fat? Again, I think this one comes down to if you were holding more water, people think that you are getting heavier, stuff like that. But they actually found that the opposite was true. That actually helps body composition, meaning increased muscle mass, decreased fat.
I was gonna say that's good to clarify because yes, water weight will move the number on the scale
for sure, but that doesn't mean your fat's increasing.
Yeah,
and doesn't mean your muscle is decreasing. They found that it actually does not decrease fat mass and actually helps, as we said, with muscle mass. Mm-hmm. So it's actually opposite is true.
No, definitely. And I mean, there's so many different ways to cheat the scale. That's a whole different thing. But
yeah,
the important thing is body recomposition and body fat.
Correct. So someone can be the same weight but have more muscle. Someone could be the same weight and have more fat.
Yep.
And they're going to look completely different. With their shirt off and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
So, number 8 is creatine supplementation. Does it require a loading phase?
So, what I've heard is that yes, because it takes. No, you'll dispel it, but it's what I've heard.
Okay.
Bro talk in the gym. That you need a loading phase because it takes a little bit of time to get into your system. And it can take up to a month or so if you don't. So it's better just to go through this loading phase to get it in quicker so you can see more of the effects.
Yeah, I mean, you might. So so this wasn't even Tyler. This was another guy. I remember he got on.
John.
That's actually pretty close. No, he got on creatine because of other people that are on creatine and went to the dark side, and he carried around a gallon of water with him for a week at school because the loading phase that people tell that you're told to do, because you have to drink so much water, because essentially with the loading phase you're getting like I think I forgot the exact number, but it was like 25 to 30 grams a day instead of 3 to 5. So basically with that is like you were saying that you wanted to get you want to saturate your cells and your muscle tissues with the creatine, so you take way more than you're supposed to, and you got to drink all this water so that way it kind of saturates the cells, and then you can back off and kind of get the benefits of the 3 to 5 grams a day. And
that's probably where the whole water thing also came from, where you have to just constantly be chugging water.
That's probably, and you probably did have a lot of water retention if you're drinking over a gallon of water a day. So what they found, which I think is interesting, they found that there is more and more evidence indicating that you do not have to load creatine. They found that lower daily dosages of creatine, that 3 to 5 grams, are effective for increasing intramuscular creatine stores, muscle accretion, and muscle performance and recovery. They did not deny that it does saturate your muscle cells by doing that loading phase.
So it could help, but it's not advisable.
Yeah. So what else? The other thing they found is they kind of saw if an athlete, this is kind of in their words, was hoping to kind of maximize their creatine potential in a very short period of time, like less than 30 days, then maybe you needed to adopt a loading phase. So like if your match or your season or whatever is like in a couple weeks, and then you want to hop on creatine.
You took the summer off.
You took the summer.
You're supposed to be working. I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
coach told you got to be working out all the time. You're like, shoot.
Shoot.
I only got 1 month.
I'm going to rely on creatine.
Got to go on loading phase.
So they did say that, that might be advised for someone
Yeah.
who wants to try and get the benefits more quickly. But they're also kind of finding, well, if you just do it for a month at the recommended dosage, it'll be in your system and you can just do it that way. So it's still kind of mixed. I would say if you're not an athlete trying to, get to a certain creatine saturation level in a certain amount of time, then load. If you're not that kind of person, then just take it normally. Just take the recommended. Don't have to drink.
Yeah, like what's the rush?
Yeah, what's the rush?
Slow down, man.
You don't have to chug gallons of water every day, and you have to do that. If you take that much creatine, you have to drink that much water. So,
Because then you're being cramping on the hallway.
and that's maybe where some of these questions come from. Question number 9. Is creatine supplementation beneficial for older adults? So a lot of the times you think, well, this is just for bodybuilders, high school,
Kids,
college,
athletes,
young adults that are, trying to increase muscle mass. What they found is there's actually the opposite. Growing body of evidence showing that creatine supplementation, particularly when combined with exercise, actually provides skeletal muscle or musculoskeletal performance benefits in older adults. I like how they always say growing body of evidence, meaning like there's not a lot yet, but it's growing.
It's growing.
And it sounds really good. But I would take that as how they're saying is that there's more and more evidence showing that is probably beneficial for older adults to take. The side effects are very, very like minuscule compared to the benefits. And there's some people are a little skeptical depending on like age, gender, stuff like that.
What are some of the common side effects?
Well, some of the things that we're talking about kind of like right now. And I guess if you obviously overdose, there could be stuff like that. Where are we? Okay, number 10. Is creatine supplementation only useful for resistance or power type activities? So like we talked about earlier, we know it's proven to help like sprinters, Olympic weightlifters, people that are using more resistance, power type activities. So we know that. And they found through the research that there is a variety of athletic events, not just resistance or power, that may benefit from creatine, meaning like your long distance runners, cyclists, stuff like that. Again, more research needs to be done. They're finding that it may be beneficial. Not saying it is, but it may. So
yeah, no, I think when I think of creatine, I think of resistance training.
For sure.
So
I think a lot of people, I think that's why this question is up, because most people think that. And if you're more of that kind of long distance type of athlete or trainee, give it a shot. See what happens, and
let us know.
And let us know. Number 11, is creatine only effective for males? Because you hear mostly a lot of guys like, I'm getting on creatine to get, bigger muscles, stronger, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I was actually reading the article on this, it was probably one of the longer sections, because there is more things to take into consideration, like hormonal profile, different things like that. And that's why people are a little bit more cautious, because you could also take in like, are they postpartum, like have they already had kids, or they have not had kids, like what does that look like? And
there's a lot more variables to consider.
There's more variables. But this is what they found. They said, in summary, there is accumulating evidence that creatine supplementation has the potential to be a multifactorial therapeutic intervention across the lifespan in females with little to no side effects. So I think they were finding that it wasn't just, like the muscle mass and stuff like that, but it had actually more like therapeutic interventions for females with like not too many, little to no side effects.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at any supplement, they always say, do not take if you're pregnant.
There is a lot of that. And, always be careful.
Always read your labels.
Some of that's probably to protect their butts, just in case.
Just in case the growing evidence is growing the other direction.
Exactly. But yeah, definitely if you were a young, healthy female, there is little to no side effects to take this, other than the gains, the good gains.
The good gains, yeah. Don't be scared to lift weights, ladies.
Yeah. So that's a good point too. Because in like therapy, like when I have female clients wanting to kind of get back for the first time or into the gym, they're like, well, I don't really want to like get too bulky. Like I don't want to get too like muscly and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
If
well,
only it was that easy.
I was like, if only that it was that easy. It is hard to build muscle. And
Yeah.
actually what you're wanting most, like I'm going to generalize here. A lot of them are like, well, I want to just be more like toned and, kind of fit like that. That like weightlifting is actually going to be very helpful for that, because you are going to get like more muscle density, hardness, while stripping body fat. So cardio won't build muscle. It's just good for burning calories and your heart and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going to go, achoo, I'm allergic to cardio.
Oh, no.
You gave me that look. I was waiting for it. Anyway, so that was question number 11.
Yes.
Last question on here is, are other forms of creatine similar or superior to monohydrate? Is creatine stable in solutions beverages? So obviously the most researched, the one that's out there the most is creatine monohydrate. And then there's other forms that people sell and that you can find. And they said that while some forms of creatine may be more soluble than creatine monohydrate when mixed in fluid, evidence-based research clearly shows that creatine monohydrate is the optimal choice. People, it is cheap. Creatine monohydrate is cheap. You can get 90-day servings for like $15. I think the last...
Dang.
Yeah, you can get a lot of just normal creatine monohydrate. Don't fall for all these other type of creatines that people are charging a hand in the foot. We should say, we are not sponsored. We don't have a supplement line. We are not doing any of that thing, any of that stuff. So what we're just showing you with the research. We have no
affiliation.
Yeah, this is just, what we're finding. So some of these companies will try and trick you and say you need this type of creatine monohydrate, not that.
Yeah.
Or you need this type, not creatine monohydrate, because of blah blah blah. And basically, creatine monohydrate is the way to go. Cheap, effective,
Boom.
Most research. Don't waste your time. Don't listen to anyone else that's saying about, well, it mixes better and, all this kind of like, don't do it.
Just tastes so good. Go with mine.
Yeah, they're just trying to trick you. Those are the 12 questions regarding creatine and the kind of body of evidence that supports. A lot of those are debunked. I mean,
yeah, no, just
a lot of those are debunked.
I think as we were going through this, I was like, maybe I'll start creatine. I'm not taking it because I'm natural.
I don't want to be drug tested. So like with this episode, we're doing supplements, take it or leave it. We're going to give our conclusion, and our conclusion is,
what's it going to be, Doc?
Take it. Yeah.
All right.
I think the pros are out there in the research, and they're proven, and the side effects are minimal to none. I think it's shown to be well in, like we said, older populations, females, even high school athletes. Don't go overboard on it, but I mean, it seems super clear. I mean, unless 20 years worth of research starts to get debunked in the next 5 to 10, I would take it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to tell you guys, remember, you are human. We should not seek perfection, but daily improvement.
Yep. Stay tuned.
See you guys.
See ya.